All right. So now I guess y'all are probably a little shocked with that. Again, I guess it was play action pass, so that does count. Everybody gets on the air raid trying to throw the ball around. We said earlier, we do try to run the ball occasionally, which is something that we think is an important part of our game. But again, I think a lot of people are on here for some vertical pass game. So happy to provide that for those who are interested. So vertical pass game and the storm concept. So essentially what this is it allows for a simplicity of the pass game. Okay, so our storm concept is a higher percentage vertical pass game with simple quarterback programming and answers versus all coverages. So there's a lot of reasons why we love this concept, but that's probably the top one. We found that we're completing the ball more often. When you learn to really trust your quarterback, for myself as a play caller, I know that I can take shots down the field because the ball is going to get taken care of. And as the ball's going to get taken care of, I'll keep calling more shot plays, knowing that the ball is going to go to the right place. And so when you trust your guy on that, this gave us great answers for that. And so it allows our best player to get the football regardless of where they're aligned. Okay, so we'll talk about that. When I think about, I did high school football for 6 years. And one of the most important parts is you have to get your best player the ball. Everybody's got one or two guys that they know are real difference makers. And we want to make sure that we're getting that person the ball as much as possible. And this is how we think is the best way of doing that. So to that end, that's a big thing. We want to make sure we get that guy the ball. So I would say that's a big part. And then we want to beat multiple coverages, and it's all built into the call. So whether it's man, mini, quarters, three, whatever you describe, when you're game planning, this concept has the ability to beat all of those. So you can feel really comfortable calling it regardless of the situation. And it's a great way to force double moves. I just feel like this was the best concept that I have. As we talk about it, and we'll go through the hard press rules so you can talk about them. It was a great way for us to actually call double moves because you don't feel about it as a trick play. It's a part of our progressional passing. And so you didn't feel like you had this in for 2 to 3 weeks. It really doesn't feel like a trick for us because we have high percentage ways. And I'll talk you through the quarterback's progression through the entirety of this thing here in a second. So it also has a complete flexibility of protection. So regardless of what personnel grouping we're in, you can call it. So if you're in, let's say you're in an 11 personnel set, you can max protect it. If you're in a 5-man protection because you want to be in empty, you can call it. If you want to be in 6-man because you're in 10 personnel, you can call it. And it allows for a flexibility of formation. Whether you're in 2x2, 3x1, 2x1, tight end attached, tight end wing, whatever it is, the rules stay intact regardless. So whatever your top formations are that week, it allows you to get the ball down your field to your best player and still be efficient passing the ball. That's pretty much the three things that you're looking for in pass game. So and then another thing is if you find yourself in a 2-minute situation, it's one of the easiest things to call because you're going to tag it to whatever receiver you want it to be. So, obviously traditional air raid, we have X, H, Y, Z and 2x2 from left to right. So you'll see some of these presentations here. If there's any defensive guys on here, minis are really popular, 3x check nowadays. And so what this provides is the different storm rules. So I'll talk you through this as you look through this deal, okay? Rules are there's outside receiver storm rules and there's inside receiver storm rules. Okay, so for the outside receiver, you have the ability, but are not required to make a double move as long as it's underneath 10 yards. And we challenge our receivers to have a little bit of fun with it. So what's been our top run? What's been our top concept? Okay, so let's say our pop series we just talked about been really good. Okay, let's talk about our play action series, whatever you call it, fake, whatever, Frank, something, whatever. You have something that matches your terminology. Okay. You have this, it's been something that you just saw on tape. Okay, if he wants to double move that, again, that's a little deep on this diagram. It's got to be under 10 yards. So if it's here, and then he wants to take it on, a sluggo for some people, he can. And again, this is not based off of an outside receiver picture, but I want to go through the rules for you, okay? Let's say we've been running a lot of hitches as release. Hitch and go, more than appropriate. Let's say you cut your alignment a little bit and you want to run an out and up, more than appropriate. Whatever it is that you want to do, as long as the decision is made under 10 yards, you have the flexibility to do it. It's one of the few times where we're not really dictating to receivers what they can and can't do. Okay. If it's an outside receiver storm tag, then inside receivers have the ability to have hash rules much like they would on vertical. Okay. If it's an inside receiver storm, they do not get the ability to double move, but as long as they end up down the field, they will grade out as a non-MA. So then again, if you're not tagged, you have hash rules. So I'll repeat it again. If you are not tagged, outside receivers have an 18-yard comeback. If you are tagged, you have to end up down the field. Outside receivers can double move, inside receivers can't. Inside receivers, if you're not tagged, you have hash rules. Okay, you're shutting it down on that hash at 15 yards. So the spacing is really good, okay? And then it allows for, in this instance, let's say you were in a 3-by set. Let's say you tagged H here on your storm or whatever you describe him as. He knows that he just has to end up down the field, okay? Think about this in terms of mini, okay? In this case, you basically are going to have one-on-one with this nickel Sam outside leverage. You're going to be able to stem and take it over the top. Great mini beater, knowing that this guy's going to keep it around the far hash because he's in 3-by-1. Okay, we're going to talk about the quarterback's rules. So the quarterback's rules are to check the storm. Okay, if he comes off of the storm, then it becomes too high, 1 high. If it's too high, we work inside to back. If it's 1 high, we work outside to back. So inside out or outside in. Okay. That allows us to be efficient and not take sacks. Now, I warn everybody on the call. It is really hard. The key to this thing is getting the trust level within your quarterback to come off of the storm. You know if that storm has won. If that's your best player, I hope he did. And you can formation him in different ways to get this done. If he didn't, get off the storm, get to your next progression to getting the ball to your back. I got a clip on here that shows the value of that. I also have some quarterbacks making some bad decisions as well, so you can see it. So that's a 3-by, as you see it here, 3-by inside receiver storm rule. Okay, here's out of an 11 personnel tight end offset. Okay, let's say we wanted to throw the ball to the H in this set, and we're in 11 personnel. Okay, in this picture, we would have, again, inside receiver storm rules. The outside receivers know they have 18-yard comebacks. Okay. We can add a max protection here by letting the tight end stay in protection or chip an end and release in either direction based off various calls. Okay, and the running back would stay in. So you get a 7-man pro potentially. Let's say you use a ton of full slide. You can do it in that. Let's say you like to keep your tackles wide, but you have a good edge rusher. You can chip them and keep them in that point. But in this case, if he likes the storm, he takes it. If he doesn't, then he's going to stay 1 high, outside to back. If it's too high, he's going to probably end up getting to the back in 11 personnel. Yeah, I see a question popped up. Said, are you free releasing the back on the swing like other concepts? So it depends on a protection call. So we have the ability to be in a 6-man pro, a 7-man pro, or a 5-man pro. A lot of that's going to depend on how concerned we are in our game planning of pressure in that picture. So that would be the easiest answer I could give to that, is that it sort of depends on what we're getting in a game planning perspective. But a good question regardless. It's going to depend on what they're giving us if we're worried about pressure. So that's an 11 personnel storm picture. Here's an 11 personnel rules versus an outside receiver storm, as you can see here. So let's say he wants to run this off of a hitch and go. Let's say you do a lot of curl flat. Let's say you want, whatever some of your top pass game is. He's got the freedom to set up various things that he had along the way. That's just how we draw it on our schemes, right? And then he can take it vertical. Inside receivers then have hash rules. If they know that they're in a 2-by set, they stay on the near hash. They'll end up wrapping flat defenders. If they know in 11 personnel, because there's no receiver over here, they can work a little bit in here. When you get in 2-by-2 10 personnel, you want to stay away from this hash because there'll be a receiver there as well. So again, that's an 11 personnel picture. Outside storm rules. Again, this guy knows he's not tagged, so he's on that 18-yard comeback. And again, the 18 yards is really important to make sure your guys push their depth. As much as you coach your quarterbacks off of this, they're going to get excited when they hear the word storm or whatever you decide to call it. Okay. So when they hear that, you have to be able to get off of it. Okay. And we've coded a little bit of this, so we're not using all our terminology. Okay. But if you call this storm, you're taking that and he's going to hold on to it. If he ends up, he gets a press corner and he runs this at 10, his timing is going to be all off versus one high. Okay, and then lastly, a 10 personnel picture. In this case, let's say we wanted to use X. And again, we're going to game plan this. It's not going to be, really hard, but it would be very easy if you want to call this storm or whatever you call it to tag X in this picture. And it gives you that. So that's a really a big advantage for us. I see another question that pops up. It says, I might have missed it, but do you call storm without any tags? And what are the rules in that case? That's a really good question, Joel. So if you wanted that, it would just turn into all comebacks. You get 15-yard comebacks on the inside, 18-yard comebacks on the outside if you did not tag somebody, because that's their rules. If they know that they're not tagged, they have that. And again, this is really great in 2 minutes. So if you wanted that in a 2-minute situation, let's say you are trying to get in field goal range and get out of bounds, that's a great way to get it to both sides. Or, get yourself a first down, get down. That's a great way to do it. It's not a huge part of who we are, but we would have done it that way if we need be. But that's a great way to get it if you just decide not to tag anybody. The beauty of it is it's really rule based. So Joel, to your point, if you're not tagging anybody, that would essentially be your concept. You would just get comebacks right there. And that's a great concept. But if that's what you would have get based off the rules as the kids understand it, how we have it built. So good question. So again, starting with some practice clips, just so you can see some base versions in which it's installed. Again, in this case, we're gonna have the storm is going to be coming from the inside receiver right here. Okay, if you decide to call it storm or whatever you decide to call it, it's really easy to get this communicated. They know who's tagged and who's not. Okay, so he doesn't do a great job here disguising it because he's pretty excited right now. Okay. Now, I encourage our guys in storm rules on the inside to stem at the safety's toes, stem him outside if you can, break him across his face, and then let the ball bring you inside to stay away from this safety, okay? You're going to want to hold his eyes with something. So you better do something here to try to hold that safety just enough. If you watch our tight end here, we're going to go away, which triggers a 3-by trace here. And the boundary safety's eyes don't get out as quick. Okay. Sorry, it's got a little skip there. But the boundary safety's eyes are through number 3 here. So he won't get out as quick. When he releases, his eyes come back inside the 3 and he's too late. Okay. So base rules, you're going to have an 18-yard comeback. You're going to have an 18-yard comeback. He's a tight split, so he's going to widen it a little bit, okay? And you're going to have the guy who's tagged on storm, all right? So just watch this clip. I see the question that pops up there. I'll get to it here in a second. But as you can see, the boundary safety is late to get out. Our first read is the storm. You're going to have to keep getting your guys comfortable getting off the storm, okay? But in this case, we get an explosive pass play versus split safeties because we get a downfield concept. If he had come off of it, since it's an 11 personnel, he would have gotten to his back because there is no middle field player. We had sent him that way. I'll take that. If this is first down, I'm tired of taking sacks, taking shot plays, okay? Joel, I see that you say, does X always turn in and Z always turn out of the comebacks for you? If so, what's the reasoning for that? No, that's not. In all honesty, Joel, we like to turn our comebacks inside. Never really understood why comebacks are broken outside. We like to break them inside. It's an easier throw for the quarterback. It allows them to come back down their stem. And we will allow the quarterback to throw him outside, but we do break our comebacks inside. I realize it's a little unconventional. It's just been more successful for us. Appreciate the question. So with that being said, now let's move on to the next picture. Again, that's an 11 personnel inside storm, okay? Now we have, people on a tighter split here. Now we have a storm route down here to the bottom. Since he's in an abbreviated split, he decides to do a little out and up. Okay. Now they're bailing. They're in a drop 8 situation here where we aren't particularly excited about this. Again, this is a scripted practice, but he doesn't like the storm. His rules are too high, inside out. So he's got an inside storm route. If you watch the end zone here, you're going to get 15 yards, pass rules to middle of the field because we're in 11 personnel. You're going to get your comeback at 18, and he decides, but not mandatory, to run this as an out and up. And I like that decision based off of his alignment. But watch the quarterback. You really got this thing going when you can get him to come off of it when it's a bad picture. He knows right now that we got bad numbers out here for this out and up, man. They're in Tampa 2 hole. All you drop 8-3 high guys, you call it different things. This is Tampa 2 here, essentially, but the safety's coming from the roof in the Tampa play. So in this instance, watch the quarterback's eyes as he immediately cancels this. One hitches it, he gives him a pump if he wants it, but he knows now that this is the window where he wants to throw this thing. That's really good quarterback play. That's what we want, and I'll get more comfortable calling this thing. His progression is storm to too high, means an inside to the back, and he's got 2 to choose from, both of which are open, and allows us to not take sacks and negative plays when calling shot plays. So I can't stress that enough. Continuous, it's going to take some time. If you want to install this, and I hope you do, I hope you find it useful, it's going to be hard to get your quarterbacks to not get excited about calling this when you call this. You have to get them comfortable moving on. Okay, so let's get to some game clips. Right here, we're in another 11 personnel set, which helps in protection. This is your storm player on this picture. All right, we get a cover 3 look. Okay, now it's 1st and 10. If our quarterback likes his matchup, again, this was a good player for us. We wanted to take this shot. Okay, so when he does, he's going to throw the ball down the field, and our kid makes a great play. I'll show you on the end zone. Okay, but just keep this. I want to continuously stress, since it's 1 high, if he didn't like this, and I would ask the question here, it would be outside in. Okay, and if he didn't like this, he breaks. And since he breaks inside and outside, that's a good spot to go with the ball right there. See, as he lets this thing go, if he were to come off of it and move on, I'll take that as a 1st down because we're being efficient in the quarterback room. Now, I'm calling storm or whatever you decide to call it because we want to throw the ball down the field. Okay, this was one of our better players last year. Okay, we want to find ways to force him the ball. This is a good matchup. He didn't even beat him bad. He's in cover 3, but we like our guy. So we're finding ways to get him the football down the field. All right, on this spot, we're in wide splits. Okay, now we have this guy on the storm. He's considered an inside receiver in this picture. Okay, so this is when you have it really good, y'all. This is when you have it really good. Okay, you have to be able to move on to your next progression. So again, I hope we're comfortable with the quarterback program, which is really easy. Check your storm. If you don't like it, move on. This is clearly 1 high. So you're going to go outside in. Quarterback knows right now this is not a great spot to go with the ball with the safety going towards him. So instead, he moves on with 1 hitch, outside in, with a field comeback in that case. All right. Both are fine. If he were to work outside in here, we'd like to have that kid almost not get out of his break a little bit. Everybody's got problems. But he could go here as well. All are good places to go with the football. If that's not open, this is an efficient throw as well. So essentially you have, some people like to see it as vert rules with 1 guy tag. Okay. Gregor, I see you pop on here. So 6-man and the tight end check releases, or the running back check releases for an OTB route. Yeah, so we do it a couple different ways. If you're in 11 personnel, sometimes we'll swing the back, send the tight end the other way. If it's 6-man pro and we want him on a squat route, we'll do it sometimes to the side of where one of the middle field curls is coming for a high-low, but you can mix and match that how you see fit. We have a couple different programs, a couple different protections, Gregory, that'll get that accomplished. Each one gives you a different deal from the running back, and you'll see it a couple different ways on tape. But either way, the quarterback knows off of protection where his back is. So it's 1 to 2 to 3. Hopefully that gives you your answer. So good. You see that? That's you really got it good when your quarterback's working the second and the third progression, because then as a play caller, you feel more confident continuously calling shot plays. And with the quarterbacks that we have in our room right now, we're doing a really good job calling shot plays and being efficient with the football. All right. So again, here's the same deal here. So similar play call. Okay, similar play call, but in this one, we're not doing a good job in the quarterback room. Okay. Now he gets rotation, and some people call 3 curl, some people call 3 buzz, whatever it is on the inside here. Okay. In my opinion, he forces this throw. It's a very similar picture to the one we just saw. I don't love this on the inside storm route. Okay. You'll see a couple that I do. I do love these for 18-yard completions on what right here is, something we have to be a more efficient throwing the football than this. So I put this on here so y'all know you have to get your quarterbacks comfortable moving on. These guys are so used in the corner room to squeeze when 2 and 1 go vertical. If you get to 18 yards, he doesn't think you're shutting it down. So get back to your comeback in this picture right here. This is where the ball should go. This is not good quarterback play right here. We end up getting bailed out, not having it intercepted. Not what you want in the quarterback room. Okay, again, now I highlight again. The question was said, do you ever not tag it? Well, here we are. We're in a 2-minute situation at the end of half with 29 seconds. Okay. We ended up coming back and winning this game because of the points that we got right here. We had a big second half, thank goodness. Right. But right here, we have a storm route by this guy. He's trying to run by him. Okay. On the inside here at H. The inside receiver is tagged here. This is the same one we have to beat, mini, whatever it could be. He is on the storm route. So number 3 is on far hash rules right here. He doesn't win. Okay. So the quarterback gets off of it and throws the comeback. In that case, we get out of bounds with the ball on the 40-yard line. Next play gets down to about the 12. So that's really good, efficient use of pass game in a 2-minute situation. And this thing's super easy to call. Whatever you call 3-by-1 and then tag storm to whoever you think's best, it gets communicated incredibly efficient. All right. This is the guy who's tagged on storm now. You got hash rules. You got 18-yard comeback. And you got 18-yard comeback. Okay. Now he goes inside here, which is up to you. He can't really be wrong. But in this case, if he had held on to it, and we like to go there with the ball, that's fine. Okay. Quarterback doesn't get the protection he needs, works the comeback, and we're still efficient throwing the football for a big completion. Watch his eyes. He checks the storm, back to the comeback. Okay. All right. Now you have this on the storm. Doesn't like it. Gets back to the comeback. Later on in the game. Okay, again, just more clips from some previous stops. All right. Right here, top of the screen is your storm route. Okay, you get pressed. This is what I would say, and I want to make this very clear. If we said you have the ability at 10 yards, you're not required. Okay. If this is your best player, and that's where you have him matched up, he doesn't have to double move if he's got him beat. Okay. So we beat him pretty good off the line of scrimmage right here. There is no reason to double move. But I can't stress this enough. Once you get past 10 yards, you've lost your right for the double move. And this is the reason. The quarterback's got to put the ball in the air at some point. If he were to double move here, the ball's already gone, and we're going to have our timing all messed up. Might get picked. Okay. But this is just a great example. Obviously, that was one of our better players. And that's a great spot to go with the ball. Okay. Excited to, hopefully see his name get called here in the next couple of days. But out here, that's a great spot to go with the ball. That's a great spot to go with the ball. And if not, get the ball to your back for the next one. All right. Here's a, this is from 2018. We're at West Virginia. Here's the tag player. Another great example. These are on here to show you do not have to double move if you don't want to. So top of the screen is on what could be a double move. He beats him good enough and breaks his hands down at the line of scrimmage. He doesn't need to now double move. He's got him beat. Okay. And in that instance, quarterback holds the middle field safety and gives him a shot. Good throw and catch. All that is just tagging him on the storm route. Okay. Again, I cannot stress enough. That's a good spot to go with the football if he doesn't win on the storm route. Okay. Here's full slide. That's how you decide to do it. All right. Now, let's talk about it versus a cover two look. In this instance, here is your storm route, inside receiver. Okay, watch this right here. Stems at the safety, puts his foot in the ground, and lets the ball bring him inside versus cover two. Okay, hard. You get a good play action fake here. So for y'all who are wondering, good look at play action and when you might want to throw the ball down the field, which was asked earlier. This is a good way. It holds the Tampa player just enough. He stems straight at the safety and then lets the ball bring him inside. Okay. Now, this is your prerogative. Versus cover two, you might want to just throttle your comebacks. Okay. At this point, we didn't, but you see the comebacks on the outside. It's about as easy as it gets. So in this picture, stem right at the safety, put your foot in the ground, keep it skinny, and let the ball bring you inside. Easy throw and catch. All right, so actually, this is an interesting story. So again, I don't know if y'all remember this, but in 2018, we went out to Texas, and this is the last play or the last touchdown of the game. Again, I cannot stress this enough. 2-minute situations. This is a really easily communicated play to get the ball down the field with high percentage throws on the outside to easily get out of bounds. Okay, so there's 38 seconds to go in the game. Obviously, in this case, we are down by 7. We ended up going for 2. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but Will ended up scrambling to the pylon on our sideline to go for 2 in the win. Okay, but this was the touchdown that led up to it. We had this person right here, and it's just what we called storm. Okay, so in this instance, it's really easy to communicate this and get it communicated very quickly. There is no rules as long as you end up down the field. So he goes inside, stems off of the one down safety and just takes it over his head. Still one of the better throws I've seen. But with that time in the clock to get the tying touchdown, and it ultimately went to be the go-ahead touchdown, is really, really big. And so again, how easy this is to communicate in 2 minutes and to get the ball down the field is really, cool story behind it. But that's all this concept was. For if anybody remembers this game, this is just exactly what we're talking about right here. It's just that concept, because it's really easy to call whatever formation and personnel you're in and then just tag who you want on whatever you call storm. Okay, and then again, this is on there for a reason. This is just this past season. As a coordinator and as a play caller, you have it really good. Okay, this case, we have the storm right here. Versus quarters, you like this. He should be able to stem and get inside. He's even got him turned. He then counters and goes back outside. So he now has to get off of it. Okay, he feels a little bit pressured, so he steps up. He doesn't like the comebacks, but this is 1st and 10. Just get the ball to your back. That's been a big premise of a lot of air raid offenses to this point, but prior to us. And then you end up with a 12-yard gain, just simply throwing the check down to your back because you're draining the swamp a little bit. So again, I can't stress that enough. It's important to get your guys comfortable when to move on to your second and third progression and not fall in love with it. Okay. So again, from this angle, you can watch him. He checks the storm, doesn't win, get the ball to your back, you get a good play for a gain of 12. So again, I hope that was helpful for y'all. I try not to hold you too long. I do want to open this up for questions on anything that kind of comes up. I think that the interactive component is some of the best things. Again, I'm really hoping that y'all can get something out of this and take back with you to y'all's programs. And then again, anything that you want to chime in with, be happy to answer. And again, if you would like some of this stuff, again, I have to be a little bit candid, a little bit, guarded, I would say is the better word, and not so candid when it's recorded. But if you get a chance to reach out to me in the contact information below, it's located right here. Again, this is my Twitter. So if you got any interest in reaching out, feel free to. And we'd love to try to connect.
All right, coaches, again, if you have any questions, don't forget to hit that Q&A button right in the middle. You guys have been interacting pretty well here with Coach, but anybody else that wants to jump in, we always are saying to our guys that no question is a stupid question. So jump in and ask those questions.
Certainly not. And again, we hope that this is, a simple enough deal that can translate pretty easily in what you're trying to get to. So question came on, if the corner is loose and bailing and the receiver is capped, do you recommend they settle in space? So again, it only depends if they are the tagged receiver. Okay. So if they are the tagged receiver in whatever you call it, so, for the sake of the presentation, we said storm, whatever you call it, you have to realize that their rule is to go down the field. Okay. So if the corner's loose and bailing and the receiver's capped, I would tell them to get off of it and then get to your comeback if it's capped or the middle curl and then get to your running back. So, you have to make a decision whether that guy wins. You saw some clips where the storm guy won and that's where the ball went. And hopefully you saw some clips where the storm guy did not win and you can get back to your next progression. So we do not let the storm guy ever shut it down because in that instance, you lead to miscommunication. I'm not a huge fan of downfield like option routes, because if God forbid somebody's on two different pages, it tends to lead to a turnover. Good question.
Coach, when you're working with your quarterbacks, do you give them a second count in their head of when they're trying to get the ball out?
It's not quite that scientific. We usually say once he's made his second move or he's beyond 10 yards, at that point, right? We don't give him a second count, Coach, as much as we do. We let our feet make that decision. So we're going to do a big 3-step drop into that deal. If by the time you hit that third and you're ready to hitch in the gun and he hasn't won yet, it's time to move on. So we're going to take, a big drop. We say our feet, when we're grading quarterbacks, our feet dictate our progression. So if you're getting to your second or third progression and your feet don't match, frequently we will grade you down for that because you're messing with the timing of the concept. 18 yards might sound a little strange, but in our experience, it led us to the best timing from leading from one hitch, getting you to that deal from a timing perspective. It leads back nicely.
All right, gentlemen, we just want to again thank you, Coach Bowie, for being with us tonight. We appreciate your time and know that you're busy. So we appreciate it. We're very thankful for that. And coaches, again, you can find this later on Drive. If not, make sure you connect with them on Twitter and get on Twitter and like it up because we know that's the way a lot of coaches are communicating right now. So with that being said, thanks again, Coach. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the time.
Yes, sir.